Hey everybody, I'd like to offer this meditation instruction and practice session today. So we'll practice mindfulness awareness meditation, which really is a practice of presence, a practice of being. The word mindfulness can be misleading. It can make you think, oh, that it's about the brain and some kind of mental exercise, trying to control my thoughts. But in actuality, it's nothing like that at all. And when the traditional Buddhist practice is, it's a way to be with our experience as it is. And this is including our whole experience, our thinking process, our mind, like our general consciousness, our body, our emotional energies, our sense fields, all of our senses. So this is a practice of learning to be present with our experience. And it's not a practice of excluding something, like trying to push out certain things, which gets people in a lot of trouble with trying to learn how to meditate, that kind of approach. So I'm going to teach today, I'm going to give an instruction and I'm going to go out on a limb and say a more traditional approach. Now, I've been practicing for 42 years in a traditional Buddhist tradition, lineage. And, the practice, the marketplace, if people in the marketplace were honest about what meditation practice, how it works, it wouldn't sell. Well, it's a practice that takes a certain amount of courage to just be with your experience as it is. That's the first step. And most of us, as soon as people see, like, my mind is just like, a fully loaded 18-wheeler going downhill at 80 miles per hour, most people just run out the door and never want to try it again. Which, hey, that's completely understandable. Well, but the tradition is clear that that's actually the first stage of meditation. Well, is that experience of seeing your mind just as it is. And again, when I say mind, I don't mean like the thinking brain. You're seeing your experience of yourself and your world. So that's the first step of meditation, is to actually see that. So, yeah, it's intense and it's not easy in the beginning, for sure. Something does happen. There is a journey that takes place. Things do settle. Well, I'm not going to say too much about that though right now. Right now, I'd like to just introduce the practice to give you a chance to actually try it, and then if you so choose, you can make a journey, and there's all kinds of great resources online where you can learn more, or you can find a local group in your area and go meditate with people. Well, and I'll be offering also opportunities in my platform here, Tourette's coaching platform, to meditate together. So the practice. So I'll go ahead and start. I'll give you instruction for the practice, and then we'll sit together for 5 minutes. I say sit, meaning that's how it's often described. The practice is a practice. It's sitting practice, and then when we sit, that means we practice. So, Rob, the practice has three basic aspects. There's the posture, what we do with our body. Then there's what we call the object of meditation, which is what we do with our awareness. Where do we place our awareness? And then there's how we deal with the thinking process. How do we relate with that? And I'll go through each aspect separately in a 1, 2, 3 kind of thing. And so this is for people with Tourette's and ticking, and I'm going to include that in the instruction, how you relate to your ticking and the urges to tick. Rob, so the first thing is the posture. So like, if you're sitting on a cushion, I'm not going to do a visual today. I'll do that in the future. I'm going to post some images about good posture and whatnot. But basically, you want your hips to be higher than your knees. And so that the leg, if this is your hip socket here, say, and this is your knee here, you want the leg should have at least that much of an angle on it. Maybe it can be even a little less of an angle, or more. It could be a lot more. But if the knees are higher than the hips, it's just physics. It creates tension in the groin and in the lower back, and it's impossible to relax. So what you need to do, if you're on a cushion, you need to get your bum up higher. So you can just put extra support underneath you. Depending on what you're using for a cushion, you can use some blankets, or use 2 cushions, but you got to get your hips up higher than your knees. That's the first thing. Same thing if you're sitting in a chair. You're sitting, with your bum flat on the chair, and you're not leaning on the chair back. You're supporting yourself with your own back. And again, if your knees are higher than your hips, you're going to want to put something under your bum to get your hips up a little higher. Or if your hips are too high, you want to get something under your feet to get your knees a little bit higher. So that's the idea. With that as our base, then there's like a natural kind of uplift that we take, which is strong and also relaxed at the same time. And that's not necessarily easy for every body, especially in the beginning. But you'll find your way. You find the best posture for you that feels, you have a good amount of uprightness, but also is not creating too much tension in your system. And if your back is not used to this, there's going to be some amount of tension. It's just the way it is. And that's true for most people when they first meditate, until the back gets used to it. So, and then you just place your palms down on your thighs somewhere that just feels relaxed and natural. And then the head rests on top, and then you don't want your chin up. The chin is just slightly dropped, not like tense, but just slightly dropped. And that opens up the back of the neck in a certain way. But it's just a very subtle shift. It's not like a big... and then you have your eye gaze about 45 degrees down in front of you. And the eyes are soft. They're not fuzzy, blurry, but they're not like staring at one point. It's like a soft gaze, but it's a clear gaze. And this is a practice done with eyes open. So we're practicing with our whole experience, including our senses, including our sight. And when eyes closed practices, there's a different intention there. Nothing wrong with that kind of practice, but this is not that kind of practice. So the eyes are soft, placed somewhere in front of you, about 45 degrees down. And then the mouth is just slightly open, so the jaw's relaxed. And you let the breath move through the mouth and the nose. So that's the posture. So let's just sit like that for a moment. And don't be rigid, so just move as you need to. Of course, with our ticking, you're going to need to tick sometimes, or maybe a lot of times. Just let that go as it goes. We're not going to make a big deal out of anything, really. Just work with the posture as best you can. Excuse me. So that's the posture, and then the second aspect of the technique is what we call what's the object of meditation? What are you meditating on? Or what are you placing your awareness on while you're sitting in this posture? And where we place our awareness is on the experience of the exhale, of the body breathing. So there's an exhale that happens, and we just kind of go with that in our awareness. And that's what we meditate on over and over again. And then the inhale, we don't make anything special out of that. Just the exhale, you go with the exhale. and whatever that means for you, you'll make your own journey. We all make our own journey with that over time. But there's a sense of feeling. You're feeling your body as you're exhaling. And then the lightness of the letting go. Or it might feel heavy for you. It just depends. Well, and then the third aspect of the technique is, well, how do you relate to your thinking process and with our ticking and our urges to tick? What do we do with those experiences? So in this practice, what you do is as soon as you notice that you're being aware of things other than just the experience of your exhale, you just mentally label whatever it is thinking, and you come back to the experience of your body exhaling. Well, but let's do the practice together, and then if you have some questions, you could post them in the chat or in the comments section, and I'll answer them over time. So, well, let's practice together. It's a very brief review. So, working with a relaxed and upright posture. Palms flat on the thighs. The gaze is down about 45 degrees. Eyes are clear yet soft. And then you place your awareness on the experience of your exhale, whatever that experience is for you. And when you notice yourself thinking or getting caught up in some struggle, whether it's with ticking or the urges to tick, you just label that thinking, and then you come back to the body, breathing, exhaling. Well, and with the ticking energies, it's going to be a journey for you. For each person, it's going to be unique, your journey with that. The technique isn't prescribing, stop this, do that. Just work with the simplicity of the technique. Well, for myself, sometimes I tick, sometimes I actually just don't tick sometimes. And that's been a journey of many decades. Well, but as soon as I see myself getting caught up in a struggle with the whole thing, I just tick to end the struggle, and then I come back to the technique. Okay, so let's do this together for 5 minutes, and we'll begin with, I don't have a gong, so I'll just say gong. Well, Roll. Roll. Gong. So that was 5 minutes. It's always interesting. I find sometimes 5 minutes goes by so fast. Sometimes time goes slower. It's always interesting. Well, so thank you very much for your presence. If you stayed with this and you did the practice, or just thank you. And yeah, if you have any questions, please post them. Make in the comments, and I will be sure to answer. And this is kind of like a beginning for this platform here, and Tourette's coaching. I'll be doing quite a bit of stuff with mindfulness, awareness meditation, and some things with coaching, some things with body awareness. Sometimes people say embodiment, and other themes and topics as we go. Some personal development stuff, and so let's see how it goes. This is also for me an experiment. I don't know how it's going to go, if people are going to have any interest in what I'm doing or saying, or if people are going to like my presence and style. Well, let's see. But if I can be of any use to people with Tourette's and ticking, I'm here. So let's see how it goes. Again, thank you, and bye for now.